All right, I'll just show you guys the whole process here. I wrote down a couple notes. I talked about long-lasting change, so I just wrote that down, long-lasting change. And I also wrote, if you don't have anything, you'll have nothing to give. Then I also made another note. This was separate, but sometimes these things, they start to kind of like melt together for me. And this is how I end up with ideas, creations, inventions, things like that. This one says, buried treasure within yourself. I listen to a lot of different videos. I might hear someone's name mentioned on, like, let's say Joe Rogan or on some other podcast, and that stimulates me to check it out on like YouTube. And then when I do that, I usually take notes. I found it more helpful to normally physically write them down and then go back and look at the notes, but it's also helpful to do it in the phone because it's very easy to search. So let me connect these two together. This is Mark Bell. I'm on my 10-minute walk, and we're going to talk about some long-lasting change and some buried treasures that I think y'all might have inside of you. Actually, I don't think you have it inside of you. I know you have it inside of you. Let's talk about long-lasting change. I think that many people are scared to change. It's very difficult. It's very challenging. And I think a lot of people may look at someone who's rich, well off, successful, famous, and they might think to themselves, I don't want to have to pay that price, so I'm just going to kind of hang out over here. And they live their life that way, and they find what they're doing gratifying. They feel very comfortable in the space that they're in, and they may work for other people, and they may be doing a lot of things that they don't necessarily love to do or even like to do, but they're doing them because they help support their family, and they help to allow these people to maybe do some of the things they want to do on the weekend and so forth. Here's my pitch to you to go after change with everything that you got. It is my belief that we all have a buried treasure inside of us that makes us unique, that makes us different, that makes us original, and I would even go further and say puts us in the category of being a genius. In my opinion, all it takes to be a genius is to be an original. And if we're to look at each person, all of us have different fingerprints, right? All of us have different thoughts. You're thinking something different than whomever else is listening to this. There's a few thousand people listening to this, and they have a few thousand different thoughts. So if you have a different way of thinking, that must mean you have different perspective. That must lead us to believe that you have different life experiences. So if we're all different and all possess the ability to look at things differently, even though they're worded with the exact same form of communication, then that must indicate on some level that we have something unique about us. We have something creative about us that allows us to process stuff in a different way based off our previous interpretations of other things that have happened over the years, based off of life experiences, sometimes based off of feelings. And I've talked many times before, I think it's a good idea. You practice on working on not allowing your feelings to change the facts, or not allowing your feelings to disturb or disrupt the facts. Thinking about your thoughts is important, but I would say thinking about your feelings might be more important-er, if there is such a word. I also believe another reason why you want to go after long-lasting change, sometimes people feel that going after change or trying to improve oneself, which would be a form of change, if I'm focused in on this path every single day of wanting to get better, well, where does that leave my family? Where does that leave my kids and my wife, my coworkers, my friends in the gym? Some people might think that's going to make me selfish. That's going to make me self-centered. If I want to be 5% body fat, then that would be very selfish of me. If I would enjoy figuring out a way to make more money, that would make me selfish. No matter what amount of money you're making, whether you're making 50,000 or whether you're making 50 million, that's sometimes people's vantage point of stuff like that. And sometimes when people have more money, people are like, why would someone who already has a lot of money want to make more? Why would someone who's already in good shape want to be in better shape? Why would someone who's already smart want to go back to college and get another degree? Why would a doctor want to go get a master's degree in something else? Like, the reason is, it's because of what it can make of you. It's not because of what it actually is and what it is that you're actually doing. It's not necessarily about becoming a millionaire. It's for what it can make of you. And if you don't have anything, then you have nothing to give other people. And it's my belief that is why we are here on this earth, is to figure out ways to have better understandings of more things that we have in common rather than things that separate us apart. I think we're here to communicate with each other and to assist each other and to help each other, because we do not know why we're here. And we probably never will. And so what does that lead you to believe? Or at least it leads me to believe this. It leads me to believe that we need one another. And if we need one another, I need you to be strong as shit. That's what I need. I don't need you to be a pussy. I don't need you to be walking around with sloped shoulders just because you're on the internet all day and you have poor nutrition and poor sleep habits. I need you to be somebody. I need you to be fucking strong. We need to be strong for each other. We need to be strong for one another. You need to make something of yourself. And the only way you're going to make something of yourself is if you start to investigate, what is it going to take for me to make changes? What is in your way right now? What is slowing you down? You have to be honest with yourself. For me, personally, I'm on a mission right now. I want to get leaner. My brother just kind of made this up randomly out of nowhere, made up a challenge for us to get leaner for the 4th of July. It doesn't mean much, but the second he mentioned it, I was like, I'm in recognition of what he's doing. It's a challenge. That challenge and that change is important. So I was like, you know what? I could use a good challenge. I could use a good change. And I was like, I want to lose about 10 to 12 pounds of body fat, and I want to actually work on keeping it off forever. So I've got myself into really good shape. I think I'm in, like, I would say, pre-contest shape. Better shape than I was when I started my prep for a bodybuilding show about 2-3 years ago, but not in better shape than I was on stage, which I'm not necessarily looking for that conditioning, because that was very, very difficult. Probably not all that realistic to maintain that. I'm looking for somewhere in between that. And it's not so I could sit there and say, hey, you know, check out my six-pack, or check out the veins running through my abs, or I got veins in my triceps, or whatever. All that's kind of neat. I guess it's somewhat interesting. But it's truthfully for what it can make of me and what it can turn me into. I did a bodybuilding show years ago. Hani Rambod challenged me. And when he challenged me, I thought to myself, what an amazing opportunity this can really be. And you know what? It's been transformative to me ever since. That was 3 years ago. I've been in better shape ever since that time, because of that one time I did a bodybuilding show. I have new perspective on things because I've been in different places. I have different vantage points that I can see from. I now understand why it's important to brush up against shit that's really, really difficult. It's important to brush up against things that are difficult and go above and beyond what you think you're even capable of, so that you can understand how to recalibrate and get back to finding things that are challenging enough, that change you enough, that don't cost you too much. We want to have a cost to it, but we want most of these things to equal out to be a benefit, so they can be enjoyable, so they can be fun, so they can be fulfilling, so you can feel good about the things you're doing every single day. That's the tough part to try to figure out how to balance. But if we're not striving for much, then we don't end up being much, then we can't help anybody else. I think a lot of times we get caught up in thinking that if I'm gonna embrace this, this is gonna be selfish. But if you don't embrace certain things, if you don't lean towards certain things, you don't lean into certain things, you're not gonna be able to provide as much value to the next person, whether it be a friend, a family member, or anybody else. So I think that we owe it to ourselves to investigate, to look for, to be in search of each and every single day, what is that buried treasure that's inside of us? We all have a buried treasure inside of us that has a tremendous amount of value for the world. If you go back and watch Bigger, Stronger, Faster, my oldest brother Mike, he said,
I just feel that I have more to offer this world, and I don't know exactly what it is or how I'm going to go about doing it. I know that there's something in here that's meant for the rest of the world to know.
What a great way to go through life, thinking and feeling that you have something important that you want to share, and maybe you just never even really find it. Maybe you find a bunch of stuff that you think was it, but maybe it's not. Maybe you dig deep and you discover that you love powerlifting, and you're going to be able to share your experience in powerlifting with other people. Maybe you dig deep and you have an invention and you call it the slingshot and you make a bunch of products and you inspire people with your business and with fitness. Maybe you go soul searching again, you try something new, try something different. You transfer from powerlifting, weighing 330, squatting over 1,000 pounds, bench pressing over 800 pounds, and you transfer into bodybuilding. Go from 330 to 230, shredded on stage, doing a bodybuilding show. Maybe that's important to investigate. Maybe I still haven't found whatever it is that I need to share with the world. But you guys have music inside of you too. You have fantastic, unbelievable, amazing shit inside of you too. Maybe some of you listening to this right now don't have the same experiences as I do, because maybe you're not in your 40s, or maybe you just don't have that many life experiences. But it doesn't matter. What matters is that your life experiences are different than mine. You could have grown up poor, which I didn't grow up poor. You could have grown up rich. I didn't grow up rich. You could have grown up being a minority. You could have grown up being a different ethnicity in an area where there was no other people that were your same ethnicity. You could have grew up short. You could have grew up fat. You could have grew up super tall. You could be a different sex than I am. Whatever it is, your experiences are different and they make you unique. And regardless of your situation, regardless of how hard it is, how tough it is, I empathize with people that have grown up under tough circumstances. And I actually really admire a lot of people that have grown up without parents, that have grown up without a family, that have grown up with alcoholic parents, like my mother. My mother grew up with alcoholic parents. I couldn't have more respect and more admiration for a person that I could for my mom, because I've always been like, how in the hell is she able to put so much into us when she grew up under such crap circumstances? Well, it's what I'm preaching right here today. She went out and decided, she made a decision. I'm not going to sit around and cry about my circumstances. I'm not going to sit around and cry about, there was a lot of weird stuff that happened in her family. Her sister died when her sister was like 9 or 10 years old. My mom raised her sister pretty much because her parents were alcoholics. She died of leukemia. Their house burnt down when they finally started to make a little bit of money. I think her brother was really troubled and he was messing around with like matches or some shit, and house went on fire, and they went from living in the projects to living in a nice home on a nice neighborhood back to living in the projects. My mom was always intimidated and scared by the environment that she lived in and grew up in. She grew up in a really rough neighborhood. She could have allowed all that to have her just slide downhill, But instead, she made a decision. She made a choice to say, you know what, I'm still going to make something in my life. And even if my own brain is scrambled and it's difficult for me to make sense of anything, I'm going to put everything I got into my children. And that was what she had to share with the world. And then look at the impact of my brother making films and the impact of me putting out these videos. You don't know what the impact is going to be. The cascade of all the different shit has happened. Me and my brothers got John Cena into professional wrestling. Think about all the wonderful moments that John Cena has created for the world. So, I mean, you see what I'm talking about here? My dad winking at my mom on the bus when he was like 14 or whatever kind of led to all this in some weird way. Like maybe some of it would have went down similar, or I know I'm getting way off topic or way off track, but you cannot sit around and feel sorry for yourself is my point. You have to investigate, you have to dig. And when you dig and when you challenge yourself, it's going to hurt. You ever gone to a therapist and had them work on your shoulder or work on your back or your knee or whatever is in pain? That shit is actually usually really painful. I used to have them working on my forearms, my elbow, all the way through my tricep. And they're digging in there. Someone dig in your armpit or my pec. Whoo, that one hurts really bad. It's crazy. But they dig and dig and dig in there. They find the scar tissue. They get over that scar tissue, and over a period of time, it gets a little better, it gets a little better, it gets a little better. A lot of the situations that you're going to face in life are going to be like that. They're going to hit, they're going to hurt, they're going to be powerful, they're going to be strong impulses. Think about your thoughts. Pause for a second, think about your feelings. How real are these feelings? How true are they? Or are they amplified because of the situation and circumstances? Then from there, everything you do from there is a choice. You can drink because you found the moment to be super stressful. You could, or you could say, you know what, man, today has been crazy. I got yelled at by my boss. My wife, my wife was pretty mean to me today too, and my kids were a pain in the ass. And instead of drinking, instead of turning to something that would probably only help you momentarily, or eating poorly, say, forget everybody else. I'm going to go for a run. Forget everybody else. I'm going to go lift because that's in my best interest, because that's going to propel me forward towards my goals, because that's going to make me stronger. That's going to make me better. And if I make me better, I can help the other people around me more. If I do more, I can be more. The more that I do, the more that I can handle. The more that I can handle, the more that I can deflect. The more I can Bruce Lee the situation. The more I can defend. The more I can, you ever see those old Bruce Lee movies when he like faces one dude, he hits the one dude, then he elbows the other guy, then he kicks another guy that's out in front of him, and he's just like, he messes up 5, 6, 7 people in the blink of an eye. He's my symbol. Bruce Lee is my symbol. For any time anything gets a little too crazy in my life, I bring it all back to Bruce Lee, and I start thinking, if I just have the skill set, I can actually be super excited being surrounded by 6 or 7 people that want to kill me. How interesting is that? You know, someone like Bruce Lee would be like, this is, hey, awesome, fantastic. You all want to hurt me? Let's go for it. This is going to be great. It's not going to work out so well for you guys. How is someone like that able to do it? They're able to do it because they're prepared. He was able to do it because he dug deep and found something that he loved, found something he's passionate about, and he developed a skill set. He was prepared for that moment. You can be prepared for any moments that you want in your life. You're just going to have to search for it. Strength is never weakness. Weakness is never strength. Catch you guys later.
I didn't expect that one.